their identity based on the number of people that are seeing their products every week. They sort of took real value out of that as an association, probably in addition to the sort of positive overlap they saw between our brands. So we were able to, through allowing them to run a competition off our packs, get a sort of, we thought, a compelling offer to drive the rate of sale, collected lots of information about some of our customers, and were able to learn some more as well about people that were buying our products. And then we've also sort of used our packs to help support causes that we support. So we did some work with the British Legion, where sort of 25p of every pack that was bought badged with the poppy went to the British Legion appeal. And again, I think the British Legion took a lot of value from working with us, sort of over and, I guess, outside of the money that we were generating, just because it was one of their goals is to get their brand seen by sort of new people in new audiences. So as this was being covered in all the sort of men's magazines and all the consumer press, I think they were equally as sort of pleased by the fact that we were a young brand, sort of helping them to tell their story to a new audience with men. And then the final thing that we're doing at the moment is we're just trying to think sort of outside of the, and this is my last slide, I think, outside of the, I won't say conventional retailers, but the places that we're found at the moment, is, are we able to use distribution as a way to build brand awareness and generate trial for our brand? So that's what we're currently sort of testing in the UK with a fashion retailer called Burton. So at the moment, I think in 50 of their stores, but in the new year rolling out to, I think, all of their stores. By the till, you would find this sort of point of sale unit, which is a sort of distressed Union Jack look to it, just selling again our hero moisturizer, because that's the product that we most want to sort of raise awareness for. And for us, I guess it's both a form of sales and a form of marketing. Like, we think Burton could in time make a sort of meaningful contribution to sort of how we are generating revenue. But really, we're looking at the number of men every week that are shopping in Burton, and because we're by the tills, there's quite a long dwell time as they come up to make their purchases, obviously. So we think it's a really good way to sort of get people to embrace this concept by just taking it out of the conventional place that you would find it and put it somewhere else. And that is it. So I thank you very much for listening. And I don't know whether there's any questions or anything.
Questions. Thank you very much, Simon. Are there any questions in the audience? Yep.
Thank you. Peter Maurer, Beiersdorf. So I'm from the Blue Ocean. I think you're doing a great job. Congratulations to that. I have one question. When you talk about packaging innovations and how you drive your business, it's mainly 2D, isn't it? I mean, I see from your product portfolio that you're focusing on tubes only. So this is obviously part of your concept. Could you expand on that a bit?
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think if I cast my mind back to the sort of initial decisions that we made around our packaging, we wanted to be disruptive overall, and we were challenging conventions, I guess, on the sort of branding name, the colour scheme, the types of ingredients that we're doing, and the approach to marketing. I think when you challenge a brand, you need to sort of almost understand, are there conventions that I want to break and are there conventions that I want to stick with? So we thought that tubes was a sort of a very familiar product for consumers, and we also were keen to avoid the over packaging that we think some of the bigger brands do, which I think, you know, that they use airless pouches and there's a cardboard box and then there's a leaflet in the side. There's lots of extra packaging in that which I don't think you need, and I think those airless pots are really hard to recycle. So there was sort of other choices that went into it, but definitely with the tubes there was also a question of cost. Like we needed to find, at least to start with, stock packaging options because of our UK manufacturing base, the fact that we're using ingredients that are that much more expensive than synthetic fragrances. We're using essential oils, or the surfactants that we use are sort of derived from coconuts. They're that much more expensive than, you know, a face wash will use sodium lauryl sulfate to generate foam, but so will a toilet bleach. You know, it's sort of, there's very cheap industrial chemicals which we were avoiding. So packaging was certainly something where we couldn't initially go for the most expensive option, but we actually quite like the tubes. As we are planning out our sort of innovation pipeline over the next 5 years, we are getting to the point probably as a company where we can start to think about tooling our own packs, which is something we might do as we're sort of looking at adjacencies that we might take Bulldog into. So that's certainly not off the table. We had a sort of most recently a really, the two most recent products that we've launched as well have also taken us sort of, well, one of them at least have taken us slightly away from tubes. We launched an eye roll-on, which had a sort of metallic metal rollerball, which was a product to challenge the sort of very disruptive innovation that L'Oreal had with their under-eye roll-on, and that's gone really well in Sweden and increasingly so in the UK. And in Scandinavia and in our web shop in the UK, we've just launched deodorant, and we would not, because some of the values in the business would not want to do that as an aerosol spray or anything like that. Stick formats are tricky because of the propylene glycol that goes into some of those formulas. So we're using a sort of rollerball base, which comes in a sort of beautiful heavy glass sort of spherical tube with a really wide rollerball, which makes it quite expensive, which in turn means that at the moment we're only just really working out how to sell that in the UK, at least on our web store. So we're probably transitioning out of phase 1 into phase 2, and there's definitely more scope for us to be more innovative with our packaging going forward. I hope that answers your question.
Simon, I have a very small question. How many people are you in the company?
We're 4 full-time, and we have a chairman who sort of brings adult supervision periodically, who's a sort of part-time employee. But I think that sort of belies the fact that we are sort of collaborating with loads and loads and loads of companies, and I guess, well, maybe there's 50, 60 companies that are some way involved with sort of making Bulldog happen, and some of those companies we might work with every day. Some of those companies we might work with once a year. But our approach was, we are outsiders to the industry, and you know, the pitch to Sainsbury's was the first time I'd ever had a meeting with Sainsbury's, and we're sort of trying to fast learn, but I think we can be really good at certain parts of the business, and it's up for us to go. We may not know the answers to these questions, but somewhere someone is an absolute expert in supply chain or infrastructure or whatever it is, and it's just about us finding the right people, making sure that we understand what they're asking us to do, and you know, collaborating in a really good way. So we're sort of collaborators rather than doing it in-house. But we probably will expand we'll probably double in size over the next 2 years, but then we'll still only be 8 people. Yeah.
And how many out of those 4 are design experts?
Well, my background before I did Bulldog was Saatchi & Saatchi, well, mostly. So I was more on the planning side and the innovation side. So the team I was with was coming up with ideas for new products for big companies like Coca-Cola or Diageo. The 3 designs that you saw, the first 2 we did with a friend of mine from Saatchi's, and the third one was with a sort of very talented team that we found in London. And I wouldn't say that we have anyone in the team at the moment who's probably brilliant at design, but we certainly, one of our team members has sort of trained himself up in Photoshop and InDesign, so is sort of able to take the assets that have been created by designers and really apply them really well and professionally to posters or sort of brochures or marketing collateral. So we're sort of fast learning in that area, but still working with professional designers when we need to.
And then one last question.
Oh, yeah, hi, Ian Jamie. I run a packaging company in Coventry in the UK, and it's a question about your marketing message. At my age, I have no problem relating to the British Bulldog: ugly, fat, wrinkly, lazy, not wishing to move too far away from the fire. It suits me down to the ground. But I would have thought the youngsters in the UK would have a bit more ambition than that.
Yeah, I think that's something that we've wrestled with. I mean, when we started with Bulldog, we came up with the idea we're Brits, but we were living in New York, and I think we loved the Bulldog because it challenged all the conventions in the way that we thought. And we also thought that the dynamic I haven't talked about in the category is that these products are probably more than 2/3 likely to be bought by a woman than they are by a man, so it's much more likely to be mum or wife who's buying these products. And we always thought that she probably sees a lot of her husband or partner in the lazy Bulldog too. And I have a tiny weenie dog actually, and I used to walk around New York, and the amount of attention that the dog got rather than me was amazing. So we thought there's something quite charismatic about the dog. But when we got back to the UK, I guess we suddenly got a bit concerned about there's a sort of Chelsea football gang of hooligans, I think, who sort of have adopted the Bulldog. And there's also images of the Bulldog every now and again. He's sort of really ripped and he's almost like steroided up. It's a bit like the Bulldog in the Tom and Jerry films that sort of runs around chasing Jerry, I think it is. So we're just really, really careful about the types of images that we use. So the image you would have seen on our Christmas gift was the dog sleeping, control, calm on the towel, looking very relaxed. Like we'd never show a dog with sort of his teeth out or anything like that. So we police the imagery quite, carefully. And it probably won't appeal to everybody, but the work that we've done, which isn't that much, but sort of going out to universities and to other places, is we find that people to be really, really receptive to the idea. And I think they just feel that it's a brand created by sort of contemporaries for them, sort of placing men at the very heart of it, rather than it's a sort of an offshoot from a company that's really focused on female skincare. So it might not work for all the people. But I guess in our position, you don't need everybody to love it. Like the data that we're seeing from, excuse me, the retailers shows that, and I'd love it if we were doing a better job at switching people across from L'Oreal into Bulldog, but the great majority of people that are buying Bulldog are new to the category. So the retailers are loving that. We're a category growth story, so we're not switching people down or across. It's new people that sort of, their needs are probably unmet by skincare products currently, buying into Bulldog for the first time, or just adding it into their repertoire alongside an existing brand. So it's a really good place for a small brand to be. And again, that probably speaks to the appeal of the Bulldog.
Okay, so one last question.
I'll show it. How are you competing against the major FMCG sort of marketing? Are you relying on getting your product in store and relying on the footfall in the store, or do you advertise? How are you getting your product out there?
Partly what we can do in store, partly using our packs or alternative distribution. Our marketing mix also involves public relations. We do that in-house. We had agencies for 4 months, but we brought that in-house, and we've had much better results, sort of not outsourcing those conversations with influencers, bloggers, press, sort of doing that ourselves. That's been really good. Not just product-based PR, but sort of telling the story, having a point of view on business issues, getting out there, getting people talking about it. We are at the point where we're starting to do some print advertising and some outdoor poster campaigns, and we're sort of able to be quite strategic about where we place those posters relative to sort of store densities. Probably the biggest thing we've done from a marketing perspective, though, was David Mitchell's Soapbox, where we created with David Mitchell, who's a sort of comedian in the UK, BAFTA award-winning comedian, 40 online films, and they were sort of 3 to 4 minutes long. He was sort of ranting in a sort of very funny way, sort of just face to camera with a green screen, and there were effects that came in, and then we bookmarked the front and the end of this content with a little Bulldog message. And the idea there was that you can advertise in a magazine and it's in the newspaper the following day and it's gone. But if we create engaging content, it can sort of live forever online. And I guess from a marketing perspective, one is people can recommend it to their friends, and it can sort of, the media value can extend right beyond just the production cost. So we created these 40 films. We sort of partnered with FHM, iTunes, The Guardian, where he has a column as well. And used their networks to push them out to people. And I think we had sort of 12 or 13 million views for these sort of 2 series, and it won the sort of Video of the Year, I think, from Apple, and it won Marketing Week's Campaign of the Year. And Dell now sort of came along and used that property to do that. But we sort of pioneered that on sort of YouTube-based branded content, and that was really big for us. And we're sort of working on another idea a little bit like that for next year. That will be coming up.
Use social media or something?
I think social media is something that's so we are and we sort of think we have an authentic voice because people can sort of speak directly to the consumers. But I think it's in and of itself that's not an idea. I just think it's a sort of a channel to communicate your ideas anyway. And we probably take the most value from social media by having a real hardcore group of Bulldog fans who we can sort of take insight from, rather than as a way to sort of generate mass swathes of awareness. We're not sort of aggressively recruiting fans or likes. I think there's a real challenge once you see some brands with 100,000 likes, but sort of swerving quite dangerously away from what social media is really about, which is sort of just being social with your friends, sharing photos. So we're finding our way a bit, but the most value is sort of hardcore fans rather than general awareness building tactics.
All right. Thank you very much, Simon, for this great talk.